You speak English? Api chet sudaracharo bhajate mammananyabhak sadureva samantavya samyakvya vasito hisa kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvakshantim vibhakshati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. Api chet sudaracharo bhajante mang ananyabhak sadureva samantavya samyakvya vasito hisa kshipram bhavati dharmatva shashvakshantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. So we are reading from Srila Sridhar Maharaj's favorite verses, or not favorite verses, but highly commented verses. Even if one is impious and has committed abominable acts, if he worships me with one-pointed devotion, such a person should be considered saintly, because his determination is perfect. He quickly becomes virtuous again and attains everlasting peace. O Kaunteya, declared boldly that my devotee never perishes. Illumination by Srila Bhakti-Rakshak Sridhar Deva Goswami Maharaj. If any devotee has some fault, if anything undesirable is seen in him, he is not to be punished for that. Why? He is engaged in service to the Lord, and that can fetch the highest value. If he is given some punishment or expulsion, that cannot cure or purify him. The highest form of purification is that in which he is already engaged, and that can purify him to the highest degree. No other punishment of any form is necessary for him. He should be allowed to go on with service, and in no time he will be purified. Otherwise, it will be an injustice. Bhajate mang ananyabhak. Sadhus are sadhus. They are not to be measured from the standard of this guna maya sattva raja tamaguna, which is misconception. From the plane of misconception, good or bad should not be applied to my devotee who is working in the nirguna plane, the realm beyond the modes of material nature. This law does not apply in the case of an ananyabhak who is in the nirguna plane, who has accepted exclusive devotion to me as all in all. What he is doing is perfectly right, 100%. You may see some black things in the life of a sadhu, but if he is a real sadhu in the nirguna position, then what you see is only a concoction that has got no value if 10% he is doing right. So this is Maya. It is a negative stage. It has got no value when any positive things comes back to it. We should see the example of Jagai Madai's case, or Ramakaradasu. Previously he was a great demon, and the next moment he was a great sage. It is his divine will. The final phenomenal conception has got no position before the infinite divine will. The will of the divine is in one place, and this self-condemned misconception is on the other side of the battle. What can Maya do to Krishna in his person? So in any form, in any way, one may come. But the Shastras ask us not to look at the background. When exclusive devotion to Krishna has been accepted broadly in a soul, then whatever he commits in the calculation of this mundane plane, good or bad, that should be ignored totally, because good or bad are both unreal in the area of misconception. There, whatever little he can collect, it is of infinitely greater value than any high valuation in this world of miscalculation. That is the conception. Api Chetchudaracharo. In consideration of the misconceived standards of morality, he may be considered most disqualified from the standard of the purity of this world. Bhajate mam ananyabhak. But his exclusive tendency can be found towards me. There is a spontaneous flow towards me, avoiding any other direction. Sadhu reva samantavya. He should be considered as a sadhu because that nirguna flow has to be considered. Other things that are in him now will vanquish the next moment. Sattvaguna takes us to the highest position of Brahma, but the next moment we may come here. The concocted conception of good and bad is only moving in a circle. Now it is holding the highest position, and the next moment it is coming back down. Abrahma bhuvana luka purnamma vartinojuna. Any development in this misconceived area is no development, but the consideration of a little improvement in the nirguna. That is of infinite value. That won't leave you. That won't be destroyed. Dvaite badra badra jnana saba mano dharma e bala e manda e sava brahma. Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Lila 476 says, the duality of understanding what is auspicious and inauspicious is totally on the mental platform. Thinking that this is good, this is bad, is all faulty. Oh, complex. The good or bad in a dream are both false. So in this illusory conceived world, good or bad has no value. To save everyone from this charm, this sentiment, this glamour, help from the nirguna must come from the Vaishnavas and the scriptures, the Bhagavatam, the Gita, all these things. We must be all attentive towards that. The nirguna can help us. The nirguna agents will come and snatch away the soul from the bondage of misconception. No saguna agent, one who is subservient to the modes of material nature, can do that successfully because he is a captive himself. Help must come from nirguna. I read again. The nirguna can help us. The nirguna agents will come and snatch away the soul from the bondage of misconception. No saguna agent, one who is subservient to the modes of material nature, can do that successfully because he is a captive himself. Help must come from nirguna. In spite of the possession of so much power here, I am most insignificant because nothing has value here at all. Such aggravation of heart makes one fit for nirguna. When he comes to know that this is all futile, snapna samstita, what I possess is all a dream, so it has no value. when he earnestly prays for help from the Nirguna world, then that comes to his aid. No Saguna is qualified to help any other Saguna. That will be deception for deception. Kore kore mastutobai. Two thieves are exchanging things. Neither are really the owner. One thief steals something, and then he meets another thief. And he says, oh, we can exchange some things. I have something. Yes, you have some stolen good, and he has some stolen good. It doesn't make you less of a thief by exchanging it. There's Vidhi and Nisheda, two sections of duty. We must do this and we must not do this. But if the Ananya Bhakta of Krishna does not follow that, then he's not to be blamed. Again, there is Vidhi and Nisheda, two sections of duty. We must do this and we must not do this. But if the Ananya Bhakta of Krishna does not follow that, then he is not to be blamed. No charge can come to him. And what is Nisheda? If a Krishna Bhakta does what he should not do, then there is no penance or punishment for him. He is not to be blamed. No charge can come. Why is that? In the Bhagavatam it is said, Svapadamulam bhajata priyasya tyaktanya bhavasya hari paresha vikarmayak chutpatitam katanchit dunoti sarvam ridi sanivishta. One who has given up everything, has taken shelter, the lotus feet of Supreme Lord Hari is very dear to him. If such a person somehow commits some abominable activity, the Lord who is seated within everyone's heart immediately removes any reaction. Srimad Bhagavatam 11th Canto 19.7. Svapadamulam bhajata priyasya tyaktanya bhavasya. He has given up everything. Vikarmayak chupatitam katanchit. If somehow or other any wrong is found in him, he is not to be punished because his jurisdiction changed. Whatever punishment is to be given to him, is in the hands of the Absolute. The society, the king, and the law of the country must not go and interfere with him. If any malpractice is found in him, do noti savam ridi sanivishta. Hari staying in his heart will purge everything. He will sweep everything out. No other punishment or any alternative arrangement should be made for an Ananya Bhak who has exclusively given himself to the service of Krishna. That is the reason. Sometimes externally it appears awkward that he committed some wrong and still he is given indulgence. Nonetheless, that is the theory. If there is anything to do, I shall do. He has exclusively taken refuge at my feet, and I've taken charge of him. If he commits some wrong, he should be taken generally by my inspiration, so none should come to interfere with him. It is my duty to look after him. That may be in two stages. One is a stage of sadhaka, and the another is as a siddha. When he is a siddha, everything he is doing is perfect. He does not do any wrong. And the sadhaka may commit wrong, but that may be forgiven by me, and you should not come and interfere in the matter. One of my god brothers told me, if you give an explanation of Ananya Bhak in such a way, then in the name of Ananya Bhak, some will go on with their malpractices. That is a very hidden meaning. You should not express it to the public. Everyone will say, oh, I'm Ananya Bhak, and go on with their debauchery. So don't express this in such an explicit way. The underlying meaning is this: whoever has surrendered to me, I've accepted as my own. And since I've right over everything, I am not a trespasser. Therefore, my own man may not be considered to be a trespasser anywhere. Atma Bhujayat Kalpate. He is my own. The Ananya Bhak devotee who is inspired, who works for inspiration from me, may not be considered as a trespasser. Anything he can enjoy on my behalf, if he is really a surrendered soul, he should be considered as mine. He has got free access to my property. That godbrother came to put this objection. Don't be so wide in your meaning. The people at large will take the name of Ananya Bhajan. Oh, I am a Vaishnava. I am a Chuta Gotra. I am one amongst his own men. What is his property is mine. I can enjoy everything. That sort of thought may come. Merely professing that I'm Ananya won't do. A real Ananya Bhak won't say that I'm Ananya Bhak. The real understanding and innate feeling will be, I can't be Ananya Bhak. It is not a very little thing. I have not attained that stage. It is very difficult. Rather, I'm going away from it. That will be his mood. Some opposite tendency will come. The fact is that one who has accepted me exclusively has no taste for other things. So really, he is not Durachala. Internally, he is always connected with me. He is indifferent to external life. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvam shashvakchamtim nigachati. One who can think of an exclusive devotee in such a way will soon become dharmatma. For such appreciation, one will come very soon towards eternal peace. What is the effect for Arjuna? If Arjuna declares this, he will become dharmatma. This was Bhaktivinoda Thakur's explanation. Of course, Arjuna is a parshada, eternal associate, but Arjuna has been put in the position of an inquirer, independent of his parshada character. The arrangement is there. Kaunteya pratijani. I ask you, Arjuna, go and promise that such an exclusive devotee can never be lost. Name bhaktya panashyati. This is not a secret dealing. You declare it to the public. This is an open thing, guaranteed. I want to make it known to all. By getting a connection with me, his safety is guaranteed. By surrendering to a real agent of the Lord, our life is ensured. Wherever we may go, we won't be lost. There will be a search and we must be taken on the real path. Krishna puts his devotee's name in his notebook and he won't be lost any longer. The assurance we get from above. Wherever he will go, he will get that connection again. And from there, he'll begin his journey towards me. Once connected, no disconnection is possible. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Once connected to Him, disconnection is impossible. That is such a wonderful prospect, such a wonderful encouraging word from the side of the Lord. Many times people, they come to the temple, but sometimes they go and they fall down and smoke marijuana. We don't like it because we know marijuana, it burns the brain. It really, really burns the brain. It's so bad. It will give them depressions and everything go wrong. I've hardly ever seen a person smoking marijuana and getting accomplished what he wants to accomplish. His marriage, his job, or this. Only in the arts, you have seen some people taking intoxication and they go on with their arts. That I've seen. But the real accomplishment of the wonderful things of spiritual life, it doesn't connect with drugs and it doesn't connect with alcohol. For sure. It doesn't connect with ayahuasca either. But those who have come to Krishna consciousness, they fall into that snare. For some reason, bad association. It doesn't mean they're disconnected from Krishna. It doesn't mean that they're hopeless. The beautiful saying is that every sinner has a future and every saint had some past. So we should always be positive and hopeful. Even if somebody commits a mistake, we should not think, oh, he is hopeless, we don't want to have anything to do with him. That is not our job to decide. If somebody is a devotee engaged in devotional service, we should always encourage them to go on. Because there's so many traps, so many moments where somehow or other Maya may cover you. Maya put a cloud over your head and all of a sudden you're thinking something different and then the cloud is removed and you go, oh my God, what happened to me? How did I forget all the good instructions which I received, or maybe the instructions which I preached myself? So it is amazing, because Krishna is very much interested in his devotees. Once you have come to him, here the word is Ananya Bhak. But like Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, the devotee never feels that he's Ananya Bhak. The devotee feels, I'm not a devotee at all. Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, Uttama Adhikari, or no Adhikari at all. Great devotees we have seen, they declare themselves to be non-devotees. Why is that? Is this a show? Or do they really feel like that? In a way, you have to say, devotee has to feel like that. Because devotion is such an incredible thing. It is so great. So, how can you think you have that? If you have it, wonderful, wonderful. But if you think you have it, that is very doubtful. Or better said, it backfires. It shows that you don't have it. Those who have devotion don't think they have devotion. Those who think they have devotion, they don't have real devotion. Like sometimes people, they make a big devotional show. Yeah. But then later they turn out to be thieves who wanted to steal something. So they made a show of devotion. So Krishna is not interested in the show of devotion. Krishna is interested in your real internal feeling of love for him. That's where Krishna is completely captured. And Krishna says, I mean, this is Bhagavad Gita. Apichet sudanachalo bhajanti mam ananyapak. We're talking about Lord Krishna's instruction to Arjuna, the original book, the manual of the human form of life, Bhagavad Gita. There it is said. Because devotees, they make so many mistakes. In their life, so many mistakes may happen. But we should not disconsider them. We should not think, oh, they're useless. They have no service to do. No. Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, be careful, don't interfere. Don't interfere. That is something we have to learn. We have to learn it the hard way. And of course we would say, no, devotees should always be perfect. Very nice, huh? But they are not. They're not always perfect. They will commit some mistake here and another mistake there. Like one thing very often happened to me in my life, that two people got married. And you know, marriage is a very sacred bond. Really sacred. But then something happened in that relationship. And they just don't get along with each other, or they reject each other for some fault. But both of them are your disciple. So, one person wants to drag you this way, one person wants to drag you that way. And worse, then there's also children sometimes involved. And the children is another story. And you have to sit in front of it and give good advice for everyone. To please everybody. But they tend not to be pleased. They tend to become upset with you. Like in South America, there's a saying, any issue between husband and wife, don't get involved. Because all you're going to get is trouble, most likely from both sides. So, but in devotional life, when two great or nice devotees separate, you're still supposed to like both of them. But you have to see there must have been some mistake, because a sacred bond was lost. It's very serious. But what to do? This mistake is there. And they may go on being good devotees, so they have to be looked upon as saintly. Because the next moment they're going to do artik. The next moment they're going to give a class. The next moment they go on being involved with the devotional services. And that is very, very auspicious for them and for the people who they preach to. So if we are eager to disqualify people from preaching, we will gain nothing. Prabhupada brought us into Krishna consciousness from the total sinful world, and he put us as preachers from the day one. Go out and Sankirtan, distribute my books, do something wonderful. And devotees did that. And that situates a person in Ananya Bhak. if he does what the Guru wants for the pleasure of the Guru, without any crazy idea, hidden motivation, that means he's a surrendered devotee. Krishna will immediately put him in his notebook. That's what Sridhar Maharaj said. Krishna puts you in his notebook. Yes, this is Vegavan. Okay, we know this guy from Colombia. No? And then things are auspicious. Once Krishna has put you in his notebook, you are pretty safe. But here is also a point. One of Srila Guru Maharaj's godbrothers, he heard his explanation and he said, oh, this is dangerous, the way you preach. Then the people will say, now we can do anything and everything because we are engaged in devotional service, so we don't have any restriction, we can do what we like. And then Srila Guru Maharaj answered to this. This is a higher understanding. It is not to be preached in a general level. Not that you tell everybody, hey, when you chant Hare Krishna, you can do anything you want. Krishna will look after it. No, this is not proper. But still it has to be applied when the case comes. Srila Sridhar Maharaj's vision is the right vision. It is why Krishna tells Arjuna, Chitram Bhavati Dharmaktva. Why does he say, Arjuna, you declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes? Then the answer is for that, because Krishna lies sometimes. But when his devotee says something, then he will not go against what his devotee said. But Krishna is known to speak lies sometimes. Have you heard that? Gonita, do you know a case where Krishna was lying? Hmm?
Yeah, I heard so.
Yeah? Give me an example.
Which Krishna?
Huh?
Vrindavan Krishna or Dwaraka Krishna?
Any Krishna comes to your mind. No, I wanted to hear his.
When he's coming to the gopis and they ask him, why are you late? And he said, I was with my Gurudev, Durvasa Muni. And then he said, okay, ask.
What is said? Durvasa Muni is not the guru of Krishna.
He said this. And then he said, okay, you all go to Durvasa Muni and ask him blessings. And then they all cook very nicely, but Durvasa Muni is in the other side of Jamuna. Then they are going to Jamuna and they cannot cross. Then they come back to Krishna and said, how can we cross? Then he said, okay, you tell to Jamuna that Krishna is Paka Brahmachari, he's never touching and never seeing any girl. And then they say that in the Jamuna, and then Jamuna is opening and they cross.
Yeah, that is a good example. Another example.
When he suggests to Yudhishthira, you have to tell someone is diet.
Yes, you have to say Ashwatthama is dead. And Yudhishthira says, how can I say that Ashwatthama is not dead? Krishna said, say it. That's what you need to say now. Because if you say that, then Dronacharya, the father of Ashwatthama, he will be completely depressed and then we can kill him. Otherwise, Dronacharya is impossible to kill. He's too much of a great warrior. So then, at that time, an elephant was killed, whose name was Ashwatthama. So then Yudhishthira said, Ashwatthama, the elephant, is dead. So in this way, Krishna got Yudhishthira to say a lie, and then Dronacharya could be killed. I mean, this is very trickery. The trickery situations from the battle of Kurukshetra. But because of that, Krishna is known, sometimes he speaks a lie. For what? To protect his devotee Arjuna. There was only to protect Arjuna that he did that. So he said, I will always protect my devotees. Yes, not only that. In order to protect my devotees, I will even lie. So therefore he says, you declare it boldly that my devotee will never perish. So this is very beautiful. If we have faith in this, we can more easily deal with all the difficulties. Because in our temples, sometimes a person smokes marijuana, sometimes a person may have an illicit relationship, but he comes and wants to serve Krishna. Come on, welcome. That is the generosity of Lord Krishna. Because Krishna, he doesn't see the difficulties of this world. He only sees, for him, good and bad in this world, this is only an illusion. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he uses the platform of Saguna and Nirguna. Nirguna platform means, like for example, you go out 10 hours for whatever, do some business. You come home, you give that money to the temple president or to the treasurer. You give up that money. That means 10 hours you were on the Nirguna platform. Because you didn't work for yourself. You worked for Krishna. With the money, it's pretty easy to understand. Because the mind is more difficult. Whether you're chanting on the Nirguna platform, or your mind is Hare Krishna, oh, what I'm going to do today. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. And your mind gets sidetracked in all kinds of strange thoughts. It's difficult. But Krishna knows how much Nirguna and how much Saguna is there in your chanting, in your eating, in your sleeping. But when it comes to money, it's very easy to understand. If somebody is using every penny for Krishna, he's on the Nirguna plane. Srila Prabhupada, he came to us and he gave us so much chance to engage in his service. And he encouraged us. And we came and told Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I did 100 books today. Prabhupada looked at you. Tomorrow you do 200. Devotee was, 200, it is not possible. Impossible is a word from a fool's dictionary. And devotee would go, and maybe tomorrow he did 200. He said, wow, Prabhupada, you were right. I did 200. Do 400. Prabhupada was relentless. He would always tell us, do better and do more. One time a person asked Srila Prabhupada, how do I please you the most? He said, be clean and punctual. That is how you increase your devotion. Something you can relate to. Oh, punctual, Mangalartik. Punctual this, punctual that. Because punctual means you pay attention. Like, you don't have to be here at 5 o'clock in the morning. No reason in the world for you to be here. But on the Nirguna plane, very important to be there at 5 o'clock. Because you're punctual for Krishna. And then you see something dirty, then you want to clean it for Krishna. That's also Nirguna. So not only money, or Lakshmi. No. Punctual, clean, and, very important, dealing sweetly with others. Only friendly and sweetly. Even when you correct somebody. Because if you go, people get hurt so easy. I say, everybody is highly sensitive with himself and very rude with others. Sometimes. I hope it doesn't apply to you. I hope this is not the, but sometimes it happens. Sometimes it happens. Krishna's Tubalvan Svayam. It happens, and for that reason, for that sacred reason, we should always be very forgiving. Because sometimes even a person, an authority, he sometimes forget to be sweet and kind. So we have to forgive the new devotees, and the new devotees have to forgive the older devotees who are organizing things if they do anything also not so desirable. Tolerance is there to be applied on every level. Sweetness, harmony, forgivingness. Why? Because Krishna is forgiving. One time a person came to Srila Prabhupada and says, Srila Prabhupada, yes, this sannyasi is not chanting his rounds. And Srila Prabhupada said, but he's doing a lot of service. That was it. Prabhupada didn't even call the sannyasi to smash him or anything. It's like that. Certain things can only be understood on the nirguna plane. Certain things. The rules and regulations are there to help us to evaluate our own. Like if you chant 16 rounds or 32 rounds or 4 rounds or whatever rounds, that's between you and Krishna. Of course, you have promised to chant a certain amount of rounds. But also we know many times people can't chant all those rounds. But they do so many other things for Krishna. So a dogmatic person says, he's disqualified, he's not chanting 16 rounds. But that's not happening in the eyes of Krishna, as we know from this previous acharyas. And if you consider that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said 64 rounds. 64 rounds. You gotta be somebody, I don't know. When people tell me that they're chanting 64 rounds, I don't know if they lie or I don't know how they do it. I mean, takes a long time of total concentration. I wish them all the best for it. I've really tried to chant 64 rounds. I did it one day. That was a heavy day. Concentrate all day on chanting. Because my nature is, I see dirt lying around, I have to pick it up. I see the plants are not getting water, then I have to give water to them. I see a devotee with a sad face, then I have to talk to him and see why he has a sad face, how we can help him. Everywhere I see, I look for some services coming to me. I mean, if I just close my eyes and chant all day, I think a tendency is that I will fall asleep. I fall asleep very easily. Of course, it's because I'm not a devotee. Because a pure devotee, he says one time Maha Mantra, and he's like on the top of conscious awareness. Because he's a pure devotee. But this is something we aspire for. That's a joke. Two devotees are traveling in a bus. And both are chanting japa. And the one is listening to the other chanting. He says, "Excuse me, Prabhu, can I say one thing?" "Yes, what?" "I think you're missing one Hare in the mantra." And you go, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare, Hare Krishna. You're missing one Hare. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. I'll chant more conscientiously. A little later, the other one is chanting, he's falling asleep. Then the other one said, Prabhu, may I say something?" "Yes, what?" "You're missing the whole mantra." So, you know, devotees judging each other and like that doesn't go very far. Helping. Serving, service. Kindness. Living together is difficult. It always has been, and it always will be. And people say, "Why the devotees fighting?" I ask them, "Do you have brothers and sisters?" Most people have. Yes. "Did your brothers and sisters fight over little things, over nothing?" I said, "Yes, all the time." "So why you're surprised that the brothers and sisters in Krishna consciousness fight sometimes about little things? Is this natural? Huh? We don't like it, but it's natural. It just happens. Family is like that. So that is some in substance of what we are talking about. Any questions? This is a tough verse. I mean, in a way we should read such a verse more frequently, because in our daily activities we tend to be very judgmental. And we play little Yamarajas. "You get out of here. You have no right to be a devotee." We become little Yamarajas, not appointed Yamarajas. So it's not bad to read this sometimes, but also to be careful not to apply it to yourself in a condescending way. Okay, now you can do what you like because Krishna has put your name in his book, so you're safe already. Plus, one last thing, there is one fear. Devotees are not fearful. Devotees by nature are not fearful. But there's one fear they have. And that is that Srimati Radharani may not accept my service as quality enough to take my service to Krishna. And it is Radharani who has the last word on everything. So, if my service doesn't please her, maybe they send me to Vaikuntha. Maybe they said, no, and good. Let him work. Let him serve Prahlad Maharaj, the demon king who became a devotee or something like that. I mean, a great mercy to serve Prahlad Maharaj, no? We don't put down Prahlad Maharaj, but we are aspiring for Goloka Vrindavan. So if we don't disqualify on the level of service, that fear we have. That fear we have. And that is fear personified. It's a very terrible fear. And it can only be overpowered by chanting. deepening our commitment to Radha and Krishna. Okay, questions? Punitai?
Thank you very much for the nice explanation with these books also. Very common things in institutional spiritual programs that the institution force some kind of relationship between devotees, which is not there when there is not an institution, when there is just a person and the spiritual master relationship. So, in this case, when someone committing something bad, almost always there is another party, the victim. And the most difficult to understand what about the victim, how to protect the victim, how to satisfy the victim, which is a part of these bad things which happen. You know, I don't want to mention special, but you know. So what is, in this case, what is Krishna's vision, what is the Guru's vision about the victim, who is the other part?
Very, very interesting question. Now, we're talking about things which touch upon law. And when you touch upon law, then generally law applies. Here it says law does not apply. But there must be a limit to that. Law may apply because we're in the world of laws. So, generally speaking, we would say, and that is not specific because we're not discussing a specific case, that the victim is also karmically involved. I mean, not in a case of a rape. In the rape, there's a victim. And that victim, that may claim some justice by the law. But I must tell you that in my 40 years of Krishna consciousness, I don't know of any case of a devotee raping another devotee. I don't know, maybe there are, but I don't remember, I don't think about it. So, more or less this is discarded, but on that level, the law applies. But for example, stealing. Sometimes somebody steals. In South America, it's a daily affair. Stealing is like, if you don't keep your things nicely, safe, then we say we are not responsible. Like sometimes you go in an airplane or anywhere, we don't take responsibility for your valuables or something, no? Well, even that's not so sure, but we don't take responsible for your valuables unless you come and lock them in our safe. So in our temples we have to say the same things. We cannot take responsibility for your valuables here because this is too much a dangerous place. We just had a case like this in Colombia a few days ago, very ugly. Somebody went into the volunteer's house where the volunteers stayed. Somebody got a key or something, and he stole all the bags of just arrived volunteers, and he took out whatever he wanted to take and threw the bags in the mountain. Really ugly, no? And the volunteers said, "How is this happening? I came to a temple." Yeah, you came to a temple, but we are in Colombia still. So you shouldn't have left your valuables without having them at least on your body, no? Your money and things like that, no? But this is, for us, it's daily bread. Now, that thief, he may be forgiven if we find him. He may also be kicked out for that badly, really bad. I mean, this was serious enough that you put him in a jail, no? But there's smaller thieving. Leave it in the hands of Krishna. Krishna knows how to deal with this. It is too much botheration. It is too much headache. So the victims also have to understand this is their karma. For example, many times people come to me, they said, I've been sexually abused as a child. Unfortunately, this is something very common today. So then you say, what the heck? What I'm going to tell this person? The first thing I'm telling them, accept it as your karma. Because most likely you did something like this in your last life. And that's why this has come to you as an ugly experience. Now it's over. What can you do? Or you can go and try to put the person in jail. Yeah, if it's a criminal case, you can try that. But it's a lengthy procedure and this is complicated. It's not our business to do that. If you are the victim and you want to do it, you can do it, no? But it's like quite complicated. So therefore, now, if such a thing just recently happened, just like fresh, then it's even more complicated. Because then you have to deal with it and see how do you manage that. We see that in ISKCON, for example, the devotees, when they heard that there's something wrong went in the Gurukul, that they gave some private chastisement to the person, but they didn't take him to court. They didn't throw him in jail because they were thinking, okay, stupidity, Maya, but we give them some restriction and this and that. But later ISKCON got into trouble because then the same victims, they went to the judgment and they said, look, it happened and he wasn't put in jail, and then maybe he did it again somewhere else. Minor, abuse of minor. So that is very delicate. There, you may have to bring in the authorities. You may have to say, sorry, you did this. Now we go to the legal authorities, because the legal authorities, they handle things without Vaishnava philosophy. They handle things according to the book of the law. And that may be sometimes necessary. There's no way around it. But it's not the devotee's nature. Because, in a part, because of this Apichet Shudarachar verse. But there's definitely some, what is the devotee's attitude? Well, what did Krishna tell to Arjuna? Kill them. They are rascals. They've done everything wrong now. Cut off their heads. So it's not that Vaishnavas like all of, just like weak, no?
Ashwatthama's story, he killed the...
Well, that's a special case. It's a special case because, first of all, he was a Brahmin. Second of all, Draupadi, the mother of the children, she kind of forgave him, and she didn't want him. So there were certain elements which came into the picture which made Arjuna not kill Ashwatthama. But this is also a case like where we can learn, my God, no? How to deal with this, how to deal with that.
Yeah, different few persons. Bhima told different things. Yudhishthira told different. Krishna told different. Draupadi told different. And Arjuna should act.
Special case.
And he's a kshatriya. You have to deal with this. Not just okay. Put the authority. Thank you. I have another question. So, okay, we forgive and Krishna forgive because the person connect. What about if the person committed offenses to the Vaishnava? So then what the devotee should do after understanding, okay, I did something wrong, it was like a influence. No, I committed some bad things. So how the devotee should act after realizing that yes, Krishna will forgive me, but what should I do?
Vaishnava Aparad, in a sense, is the most serious offense. Narahari Sharka says, if the guru does anything wrong, the disciple can approach him. And if the guru says, yes, I did something wrong, I correct that, I have corrected it, the disciple can say, okay, I accept it, and keeps accepting him as his guru. But if the guru turns against other Vaishnavas, if he is openly offensive against other Vaishnavas, then he should simply be rejected. So in this sense, like you say, the Vaishnava Aparad is a very serious thing because it destroys the finer network of devotional feelings. It's just like like a beautiful spider's web. It's very beautiful, very sophisticated. No? But if you poke a hole in it or you rip it, no, it's very difficult for the spider to move. It has to start a new web altogether. So, maybe not the best analogy, but the devotional web of feelings. Like I have had that problem very much, that my love for Srila Prabhupada, I wish I had love, but my feelings for Prabhupada, he's the most extraordinary person who came into my life, and I never forgot that. But when I started associating with the Gaudiya Math, I could understand that, number one, the feelings of the disciples in the Gaudiya Math for their gurus is of the same value as my feelings for Srila Prabhupada. Because they never met Srila Prabhupada. And I didn't meet their gurus, but the feelings on the same level. And then my own feelings for some of the god brothers of Srila Prabhupada, like Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Puri Maharaj, also became more solidified and more concrete. Not even on the same level of Srila Prabhupada, because let's say like Krishna is one, and then his expansions is lighting more flames, but still Govinda is the original flame. So in that sense, Prabhupada was my first flame, and then others. But then I could not tolerate that my godbrothers were disregarding the Gaudiya Math Gurus like they're simply nothing, or something like that, or worse. And I tried to talk to them many times. It's not true. Your conclusion is not right. This attitude, I don't know why they have it. Sometimes, or some, not all of them have it. But it made it very difficult for me to have a very normal relationship with them. Because I can say, okay, now let's not talk about these people. Mm-hmm. But I'm sorry, I regard these people as Guru Tattva. What? Very difficult, no? So in that sense, yes, Vaishnava Aparat is very serious. It destroys. And when it destroys things, then it makes people fall down. When there's Vaishnava Aparat, there will be fall down. There will be whatever comes. Something sad will take place. But I definitely feel that Krishna has those people also in his book. So they will also be rectified. Because whatever, like some people, my Guru is the only real thing, everything else is not valid. It's not true. In the transcendental world, it is not handled that way. I remember one story I tell you. One time a devotee came to Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and he was complaining about the GBC. Especially was complaining about the gurus of ISKCON who had left their service position. So, I don't remember the question which was asked, but something like that. And Sridhar Maharaj answered. He says, do you know Judas? Everybody looked, Judas? Judas? You mean the one with the Jesus? Yes. You know him? Yes, we know him. He said, you know what happened? When Jesus was carrying the cross, going towards his crucifixion site, there was many crowds. And all of a sudden Jesus stopped and looked into the crowds. And in the back of the crowds, there was Judas also looking. And Judas had a bag of silver coins, which he got from the Romans for selling Jesus. Then he looked in Jesus' eyes for a long time. Then Jesus put down his head and he kept walking. What did Jesus do? What did Judas do? He threw away the silver and he hung himself. So then Sridhar Maharaj said, what did Judas see in the eyes of Jesus, which made him do that? While before he was covered, he sold his master to be killed, no? So it's so difficult that anything worse can happen to a person, no? Talking about Vaishnava Aparat is selling your guru. That is like the worst of all, no? So what did he see in his eyes? Sridhar Maharaj said, he saw in the eyes of Jesus gratefulness. You, Judas, of all my disciples, you did the most difficult service. You did the negative service. And that negative service, now my pastime goes on to be fulfilled because of you. And you go into the history. that your name and traitor will be synonymously identified. I mean, who wants his name for all the history? When people hear your name, they think, oh, this horrible guy. So he saw Jesus said, you, Judas, did the most difficult of all services of my disciples. I'm grateful to you. Then his illusion was gone. So then Srila Srila Maharaj said, you know these GBC gurus which left? He said, they did so much service to Srila Prabhupada. So much. And they had so much association with Prabhupada. He said, this will never go in vain. So you should not think so negative about them. That doesn't do good to you. And when I was in that class when he said that, our mind was blown, because we all harbored like, oh, this guy, oh, that guy, oh my God. We were carrying some of those thoughts. Well, whoever had the association of Prabhupada in one way or another, he's in Krishna's book. And Krishna will straighten him out, whatever that means. Everybody will have to be straightened out to gain the final result of Krishna's blessings, or the causeless mercy. Anyway, now we went beyond the time. Hare Krishna, Kishori. Now what is this doing here? Huh? Bhakti? Is this what I gave to you?
I put it here. Oh, sorry. We was doing this.